Have you experienced a lot of racism in Australia?
I guess a little bit. It's sometimes it's very subtle, so you can't even say that it's racism, and it's only a day or two later you're thinking about it, and you're like, oh, so this is what the person meant. Yeah.
Do you have any like specific examples?
So I was working at an office, and one of my coworkers was like, Joe, it's not you never do that, but a lot of Indians smell like curry.
No
She's
way.
like, I swear you you smell really good, but so many Indians that I've met, everybody smells like curry. Why is that? And
Jesus.
and genuinely I was like, maybe because they work at a restaurant, like like if you're a chef or a waiter, I can assume that yes, you will smell like curry. But it was only a day or two later, I was like, hang on a second. How many chefs and waiters is this woman meeting?
Yeah.
That she thinks Indians. So she just classified everyone under this one thing.
She just got rejected by too many Indian guys. I think that's it.
Maybe. That's a good theory.
Yeah, it's a good theory. Maybe she's waiting at the restaurants,
Yeah.
talking shit to fucking Joshi and fucking, Raj. Sharmas, yeah. Patels, yeah. What's Sharmas?
Sharma is another surname. It's usually from the north of India.
Is that near like Punjab?
I would say, I think there's a few Punjabi Sharmas, and probably I'd say Maharashtrians, maybe Madhya Pradesh. So these are all the different states in India. I'm going to say a bunch of them.
Yeah. Have you ever caught or have you experienced any blatant racism in Australia? Because I know Australia, and I've talked about this with a couple other comedians in the past episodes, but Australia is apparently like super racist. But I personally, like, I haven't really experienced that at all. But like, I can see when people walk by me sometimes, they're like, "What the fuck? What's this guy doing here?" Right? Like, he's not one of us.
Yeah.
So I was just like curious to see if you ever like felt anything like in your face more.
Yes. So this was at another workplace that I was working. I used to work as a migration agent, so I did visa applications. So I used to work, when you need a visa to live in Australia, you go to a migration agent, and they do your visa application for you. So I used to work a really nice office, nice, lovely ladies. So there was an Indian kid who was, I think, studying to be a mechanic, I think. Oh, no, he was working as a mechanic, sorry. And he was studying a particular course. And so he had two options to get his visa. One is through his education, and the other one was through a job, like a job visa, where an employer sponsors you. So this guy, being an Indian, smart kid, went for both the options. So he did it through his application, just based on his qualifications, his English tests, and all of that. And then he also did an application with his sponsor, like a work sponsor. He had two visa applications in the pool. He ended up getting it through his qualifications, just based on his own qualifications, right? So the migration agent rang up his Aussie employer to let him know, this guy has actually got his own visa application through himself, so we don't need your work sponsor visa application. We're going to withdraw that application. And so the Aussie employer says to this lady, he goes, "Oh, that's all right. I'll just go to the next 7-Eleven and pick up another one of them."
Wow.
It is so crazy.
Oh my God.
The craziest thing, Neema, was the lady, my boss, came back and reiterated the story to me. And she was so happy. She was just genuinely laughing. She's like, "Can you believe he said that? He said he'll just go to the next 7-Eleven and pick up another one." And she was just she found it hilarious. And I just stood there and I was like, what is happening right now? And I was like, how am I meant to react to this shit? And again, it was like in the moment, I just let it go. And then it was like maybe weeks later that I was like, oh my goodness, this country is so far a little bit, screwed up.
Wow. So I don't know what's worse, the person
exactly
who was saying the 7-Eleven thing, or the other person relaying this story, but laughing about it to you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Exactly. That's what I thought. It's like, so they don't even have that respect to not share that kind of, racism with another Indian person. And they're like, it's just funny. It's just funny or whatever.
Or just like have the decency to be like, oh, that was pretty messed up. I'm sorry that you have to go through this, because that's crazy.
But so when I started, I wasn't doing comedy then when I was working as a migration agent. But
So when you first came from India, you started working as a migration agent right away?
so no, not right away. I did a couple of jobs here and there, and then I got into this field as a migration agent. But when I started doing comedy, which was years after I left the job, that became like the basis for one of my first jokes. So I just go up on stage and say, I know what you're thinking. Have we outsourced comedy? That's the first joke. And then the tag for that was, if you're not thinking that, you're thinking, if she's here, who's looking after her 7-Eleven? And then everybody thought that I was, making fun of Indian people. But I was like, no, you don't know the backstory to this. I know what these people are thinking. That's what they think, that we belong in 7-Elevens or in taxis. Yeah.
And they actually do, apparently.
Yeah.
The girl who said that was a visa agency, like an immigration agency, that said that whole 7-Eleven thing. That's so wild.
Yeah.
That's insane. I swear that's got to be an HR violation. Somewhere.
Dude, that office would be like, it should have its own TV show, I think, just with the kind of statements that were coming out of, because in a migration agency, you work with so many immigrants.
That's crazy.
You work with so many different kinds of immigrants. You work with Indians, Vietnamese people, Sri Lankans, Pakistanis, every nationalities, they're Colombians, and they would just make comments. Sometimes even I would, I think, make comments.
It started rubbing off on you.
Yeah,
You're like, those freaking Sri Lankans, god damn. Or those Vietnamese people are so annoying. Just freaking immigrants.
No, I would just, it's like, what's funny is funny, but stuff like this, like, treating them as a commodity where you're thinking you go to the next 7-Eleven and just pick up another one, that was disgusting.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Like, I mean, it's different if it's like a friend saying something like this and you're just joking around.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Because like I would say that to my friends too, like my Indian friends. But like we have this rapport already that like we get each other.
100%.
And like same way they'll say something about me like owning a Persian rug store or like smelling like cologne or whatever it is, right? It's typical stereotypes. But someone like that who clearly is just hating is. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like I think that's actually way over here in Australia. I realize it's not penalized enough. I think I think people get away with that shit way too much still.
Yeah, and it's like this lady who heard the story and came back and retold me that story. It's like even she could have been the middleman where she's like, okay, I'm not going to repeat this to anyone else, but then she came and repeated it to an Indian person.
Well, that's the problem. Is like it starts with someone trying to at least like fix this problem of like nipping in the butt right away. But then like the fact that she's like relaying it to you is completely oblivious to what's even happening. But I feel like that's I think that's actually the culture in Australia in general. I found and a lot of people say like, oh, like Australia's racist and it's openly racist, and I feel like it's gotten better, but they're like, yeah, we're so much better now. But I'm like, guaranteed most of these people, especially at comedy shows, I realize that most of these people, they'll probably go home and talk so much shit.
They would
say some crazy shit
in
the privacy of their own home. So I don't think it's any less racist. It's just like more closeted.